Hey everybody, it's Dana. Welcome back. Today we're going to be playing with some really pretty glitter snow because it's freezing here in Florida, and we're going to be playing with some snowflakes because I don't have any snow here in Florida. So let's go ahead and get started. So it's a wintry blizzard. It seems to be everywhere here in the United States, besides a few of our warmer states. But even here in Florida, we are actually getting snow in Tallahassee. I am not in Tallahassee. I'm in the Tampa area, but we are down in the 30s. So yeah, it's pretty cold for us. So I thought I would make a winter inspired card to finish off the week. So I went ahead and put down my stencil, and this beautiful stencil is by the Crafters Workshop. And now we're going to go ahead and use this gorgeous snow glitter. And this is embossing paste. So I'm going to go ahead and mix that up so I can make sure I have all that gorgeousness mixed together. And you can see some of the sparkle in here, but it's not like really overwhelming. I'm going to grab some of that out of the jar, and I'm going to actually place it down on my mat first before I actually bring it onto my stencil. That's usually how I like to stencil, and not like just plop it down onto the stencil. I'm going to grab a little bit more, and I'm going to start from the bottom and work my way up. Now this is a very delicate stencil, so I'm not pushing down too hard on this because I do not want my stencil to lift up. I'm trying to allow myself some even pressure here so I can get a very nice, soft and smooth layer. It's kind of like putting on like cake frosting. It really has that nice, smooth texture to it. And anytime you have any extra, make sure you put it back in the jar. Don't waste this stuff. Don't waste really any of your product if you have the opportunity to put it back into the jar. So I'm just smoothing over the top, like I said, just trying to get myself a really nice, even base. And that looks pretty good. And now I'm just going to take the rest of that, and like I said, I'm going to go ahead and put that right back into my container because I don't want to waste any of it. And then I'm going to close that up so it does not dry out. I'm just going to go over one more time. I think I can take off another light layer of this because I don't want it to be too heavy, because if you put it on too heavy, it's going to take longer to dry. All right, that looks good. Now I'm going to go ahead and peel this off. Now, like I said, this is a very delicate stencil, so I'm going to be really careful when I pull this off. But look how gorgeous these snowflakes are. They're simply beautiful on this sea glass paper. And this paper here is the sea glass color from Simon Says Stamp. I absolutely love it. So pretty. Now I'm going to go ahead and not heat set this. I'm just going to allow this to dry on its own, and then I'm going to make sure I clean off my stencil and my palette knife. All right, now since that's done, I'm going to go ahead and stamp out my sentiment. Now I already know that I want this card to be rather clean and simple. I don't want to have a lot of fuss going on with this card. So I'm just going to use just a really sweet little sentiment. And this sentiment came from the Simon Says Stamp Arctic Christmas. So I'm still working with some of my Christmas stamp sets just to get the most bang for my buck. So I haven't put most of, I have put most of them away, but I can still use some of those winter sentiment in the cards I'm still making. So I'm just going to go ahead and press that down, and I use some Versamark for this, and as you can see, I'm using my mini MISTI. So the paper I'm using is the same paper, which is the Simon Says Stamp Sea Glass paper. I just love this very, very pale blue color. Now I can go ahead and slide that out the way. Now, to make sure I didn't have any static, because I'm going to heat emboss this in white, I made sure to use my embossing buddy or my anti-static tool just to make sure that none of this white embossing powder sticks to my surrounding paper of my sentiment. So I'm just going to sprinkle some of this beautiful embossing powder, and that looks pretty good. I'm just going to tap off any excess, and then I can go ahead and heat set this. Now I'm going to heat up my gun really good before I actually bring it to my paper, because this is going to help my embossing powder melt quicker. So just remember that. And this also helps your paper not bow as much from the heat. Now I'm going to go ahead and do that, but I'm thinking that did not stamp as well as I wanted it to. I see a little bit of areas that I wish I got a little bit darker right across that W. So since I did not take this sentiment out of my MISTI, I can go ahead and put my paper back in and restamp that. That's the good thing about using your MISTI or any of your stamp positioners. As long as you don't remove it off of your plate, the top plate, you can always restamp it again. It will perfectly line back up, and then I can go ahead and put down another coat of that white embossing powder, and then I can go ahead and heat set this again. And what that's actually going to do for me as well is to really make that white really bright now. So it's going to really stand up off of this white paper, this light blue paper, just a little bit better for me. And it's going to also fill in that little bit of that W that I kind of missed on the first time I had stamped this out. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and start putting our paper together. I allowed this panel to dry for some time, and now I just want to back this with a little bit of glitter paper. And I mean just a little bit. It's just a little bit around the edge, just to give a separation between the white card base and a gorgeous blue. And I wanted to just have a little bit of color difference between those two pieces of paper. Now I could have went ahead and cut out the middle and not wasted all this paper, but I'm okay with that. I'm totally okay with losing this amount of paper. I have a ton of glitter paper right now, so I'm okay with losing an entire sheet to this. So I'm just going to go ahead and press down that gorgeous snowflake panel. How beautiful is that? Oh, I love this stencil. I'm so glad I picked it up. Now I'm going to go ahead and place this down onto my card base. Like you guys have heard me say a million times before, the majority of my card bases are always Neenah Solar White 110 pound. That seems just to be the paper, the card bases rather, that I gravitate to. So I'm going to go ahead and press that down right onto the front of my card panel. And look how beautiful that is. Now I went ahead and cut out my sentiment, and I'm also going to pop that up on just a strip of that glitter paper as well. Otherwise, I think my sentiment would get a little bit lost on my snowflakes. So I'm just going to line that up, and I'm going to allow my grid mat to help me line everything up just so I can get it down perfect on the first try. And that looks very good. Now I'm just going to grab myself some foam dots and put this on the back, because I do want to have just a little bit of dimension to this card. So I'm just going to put 4 of those across the back. And like I said, this is a very clean and simple card. Perfect for the fall weather. Not fall, winter weather rather. I wish I was back in fall because it's so cold here. And I'm just going to kind of offset that right to the right side and right in the middle of that snowflake. Now, of course, I had to add just a few gems, just a few. So I'm going to use these Lucy's little drops. These are so pretty, you guys. I will link everything that I used in the video in the description box below. But I love these little like pearlescent little drops. They're not sequins. I think they're like gems, but they're absolutely beautiful. So I'm just going to scatter a few here or there in some of the open spaces that I have left on my card. And that's just going to add just a little bit of bling to the card without adding really any color, because like I said, they're kind of like an iridescent. So it's going to pick up a little bit of that blue, some of that white, but it also is going to be reflective like snow. So I'm using my little pickup tool and my tweezers, and I'm using On Point glue for this. This glue has become like a staple in my craft room because I really like how it gives me the leeway to put things down, but it really keeps my sequence in place now. I'm gonna add just a couple more drops right across the top part of my panel now. And I just like to, anytime I'm adding sequins or any gems or even enamel dots to my cards, I like to use odd numbers. It just kind of keeps your eyes moving around your card projects. So I'm going to use one more right there. I'm sorry for the glare. I'm actually standing by my window today and it's actually kind of bright even though it's freezing outside. Now I feel I just need to add one more, just one tiny little pearl right on the card sentiment piece. And I think that is going to complete the card. So that is our Winter Wishes card for today. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. This is the card all completely done. Thank you guys so much. Make sure to give me a thumbs up and share if you like it. And I will see you guys in another video soon. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.